Welcome to iFour Technolabs. Myself Khushbu Shah. I am working as .NET software developer in iFour Technolab Pvt Limited. In previous session, we have learnt about JavaScript. Now, in this session, we are going to talk about jQuery and all the basics related to jQuery. Let's start with introduction of jQuery. So, jQuery is lightweight JavaScript library. Lightweight means write less, do more. It contains many features like HTML document manipulation, event handling, CSS manipulation, effects, animations, and Ajax interaction for web development. The purpose of jQuery is to make it much easier use of JavaScript on your application. Now the question is, why we use jQuery? Because there are lots of other JavaScript frameworks, but jQuery is most popular and most extensible among many biggest companies. The many biggest companies on web use jQuery such as Google, Microsoft, IBM, Netflix. Now next thing is how to use jQuery. There are two ways to use jQuery. First one is local installation. Means download jQuery library from jquery.com and put your local machine and include it in your HTML code. Second one is CDN based version. That is include jQuery library into your HTML code directly from Content Delivery Network. That is CDN. Google and Microsoft both provides content deliver for the latest version. Now let's see jQuery syntax. The jQuery syntax is for selecting HTML elements and performing some actions on other elements. Basic syntax is $bracket open selector bracket close dot action bracket open bracket close, where $sign to define and access jQuery selector or a selector to query or find HTML document, and jQuery action to be performed on HTML elements. The document ready event is used to prevent any jQuery code from running before the document is finished, that is loading. It is a good practice to wait for document to be fully loaded and ready before working with it. Now let me show you and syntax to write jQuery. Now let's start. $sign in bracket. Suppose I want to add jQuery for paragraph tag. So I'm writing P. Now I want click event of paragraph tag. So I added the action click. Now on click event, what I want is alert. So inside it I am writing a function start, function close. Inside this, what I am writing is, suppose I want alert. So what will be the tag? Alert. This is just a simple example. This is just a simple example for initializing a jQuery. Now next thing is how to enable jQuery in your page. jQuery can be enabled in your page by including reference to jQuery library files using a local path or CDN path. You can see jQuery reference path is CDN type installation, that is script source of source. In source you have to give a path or link to CDN. If you want an event to work on your page, you should call it inside the $document.ready function or $function. Inside function, you can write your script for HTML document. Suppose I want to fire a click event on a button click, so I can initialize my click event inside a $document.ready function. Now we can see what are the syntax for jQuery and JavaScript HTML events. Example 1. Hide an element with ID text box. In JavaScript, you have to do is document.getElementById. Inside that, you have to write the ID of your text box. .style.display equal to none. But in jQuery, you just have to do $sign. Inside that, the ID of your text box .hide. Example 2. Create h1 tag with my text. That is JavaScript document.createElement h1. In this, JavaScript will create element h1. In that, if I want to add any text, then I have to do is h1.inner HTML is equal to my text. Then document.getElement by tag name body 0.append child h1. It means in body h1 will be appended. In jQuery, you have to just do is $ inside that selector body dot append is a keyword to append and what you want to append. Next is positional selector. It is used to find HTML elements from specific position. Allow you to select and manipulate HTML documents. Used to find or select HTML element based on their ID, classes, types, attributes, values of attributes and much more. Select elements based on the element name. The jQuery ID selector uses the ID attribute of an HTML tag to find the specific element. jQuery class selector finds element with a specific class. Positional selectors are, some of the positional selectors are like this. It is used to find the HTML elements from position, specific position. For example, $paragraph tag p dot first indicates find first paragraph element from HTML content. That is p colon last indicates the find last paragraph element from HTML content. P odd indicates find odd number of paragraph elements from HTML element. P dot even indicates find even number of paragraph elements from HTML content. You can use more selector for finding HTML elements. Now these are basic selector for finding HTML elements, that is tag name used for find elements by tag name. Another is tag ID used for find element by ID. Tag class used for finding a element CSS class. In JavaScript you can use get element by tag name, and in jQuery you can use $with.class name. Similarly, in JavaScript, you can use document.getElement by tag name that is ID. But in jQuery, you can use with $hashtag ID. Hash is for ID and dot is for class. To select all elements inside HTML body, you have to use $sign with asterisk mark. Now, let me show you one of the jQuery for tag selector. Suppose there is a button where ID is equal to btn. So this is hash btn. It means it is indicating that button. Now on click of button, I want function that is start and end. What I want is alert message, button is clicked. This is just a simple example. Next is how to find form element selectors. First one is $selector visible, used for finding all visible elements from HTML body. Second one is $selector hidden, used for finding all hidden elements from HTML body. Third one is $selector disable, used for finding all disable elements from HTML body. Fourth one is $selector enable, used for finding all enable elements from HTML body. Fifth one is $selector check, used for finding all checked checkbox elements from HTML body. Same all other form selectors are used for finding HTML elements from HTML body. You can see here others are described below. Now next is how to retrieve, set and remove attributes from HTML body. So first one is $selected.attr is short form of attribute, bracket open close, attribute name, used for retrieve source attribute of image. Second one is $selector attribute key comma value. So suppose I want a class used for setting a class attribute for paragraph. Third one is $selector attribute key comma function, used for set height attribute for image element. It will call a function that is called height. Fourth one is $selector attribute properties. It will just call it will just redirect to image attribute, set multiple attributes on image element. Suppose I want to set a source, title, height, width, then I can use in such a manner. Fifth one is $selector.remove attribute. It will just remove attribute from div element, that is class. If div element has a class attribute, then it will just remove by doing so. Next is class HTML text value functions. Following are the function. First one is for check if given class is exist on specific element or not. That is $selector.has class name. Similarly, if you want to add class, then you have to use .addClass. To removing a class, use $removeClass. For toggling the class, if you want to toggle a class from class 1 to class 2, then you have to use toggleClass. .html, if you want to get set any HTML text, then you have to use $.html. .text, .val, .value. Now next is jQuery events. Events are actions that can be detected by a web application. Following represent the precise moment when something happens. Following are the example for event. First is moving a mouse over an element. Second is selecting a radio button. Third is clicking on an element. The term fires or fired is used with event. Example, the creep press event is fired when you press a key. Now we can start with jQuery event. First one is click. This function is executed when user clicks on HTML element. For example, when you can see here the example, when a click event fires on P element, hide the current P element. So if you want to hide the current P element, so what you want to do is insert your function $this.hide. $this means the attribute which is now active for this action. It means it is referencing to this P tag only. This means this P tag will be hide. Second one is double click. This method attaches an event handler function to an HTML document. The function is executed when user double clicks on HTML element. For example, on double click, I want to hide this application. I want to hide this paragraph tag. Then the short keyword is dbl click. Next event is mouse enter. This function is executed when mouse pointer enters the HTML element. The function is executed when mouse pointer enters the HTML element. For example, if mouse is entered, then alert message will be pop out. Here you can see here I have added a selector hash P1. Hash P1, it indicates that ID with P1 value have mouse enter function, mouse enter event, then it will fire a alert message. Now next one is mouse leave. This function is executed when mouse pointer leaves the HTML element. For example, when a mouse pointer leaves from a P1 element fires an alert. Next one is mouse down. The function is executed when the left, middle, right mouse button is pressed down while the mouse is over the HTML element. Following example says when a mouse button is pressed down from a P1 element, fires an alert. Example $#P1.mouseDown functions alert mouse down over P1. Next event is mouse up. This function is executed when the left, middle or right mouse button is released while the mouse is over an HTML document. You can here see the following example, which says when a mouse button released from a P1 element, it fires an alert message. Now next event is hover. This method takes two functions and is a combination of mouse enter and mouse leave methods. The first function is executed when the mouse enters the HTML element and second function is executed when the mouse leaves the HTML element. The following example says when mouse pointer moves on a P1 element, fires the first function with alert message you hover P1. Next event is focus. The function is executed when the form field gets focused. The following example says when an input HTML element gets focused, change the background color for input HTML element. Next method is blur. This function is executed when the form field loses the focus. The following example says when an input HTML element loses focus, change the background color for input HTML element. Following are useful event function. Hide, that function is used for hide HTML element. Show function is used for show HTML elements. Toggle, first click of HTML element calls function 1 and next click of same HTML element executes function 2. Hover, mouse over and mouse out of HTML element. Let's move to effects. Following are the effects for HTML element. Let's move to effects. Following are the effects for an HTML element. Show shows the selected element. Hide hides the selected element. Fade in fades in the selected element. Fade out fades out the selected element. Fade toggles between the fade in and fade out methods. Slide up slides up hides the selected element. Slide down shows the selected element. Finish stops, removes and completes all queued animation for the selected element. Delay sets a delay for all queued functions on the selected elements. Animate runs a custom animation on selected element. Stops the current running animation for the selected elements. Now let's move to jQuery UI. First is what is jQuery UI and why it is used. Now it's a collection of GUI widgets, animated visual effects and themes implemented with jQuery, which is a JavaScript library, a cascading style sheets and HTML. Whether you are building an interactive web application, if you need to add a date picker to form control, jQuery UI is the perfect choice for that. Following are the features of jQuery UI. Interactions, widgets, effects, effects. Let's discuss in a brief. jQuery UI interaction. There are many interactions in jQuery UI, that is draggable. It is used for allow elements to be moved using the mouse. Droppable. It is used to create targets for draggable elements. Resizable, used to change the size of an element using the mouse. Selectable, use the mouse to select elements individually or in a group. Sortable, reorders the element in a list or a grid using the mouse. This is an example of draggable and draggable and resizable. Left side figure shows draggable example and right side figure shows resizable example. You have a look for this. Syntax for draggable is $#div_id.draggable. Syntax for resizable is $#id.resizable. See the slide for the example. Now next move to jQuery UI widgets. Following are the jQuery UI widgets. Accordion, it displays customizable content panels for presenting information in a limited amount of a space. Autocomplete, it enables users to quickly find and select from a pre-populated list of values as they type, leveraging searching and filtering. Button, it enhances the standard form elements like button, inputs and anchors to themeable buttons with appropriate hover and active styles. Checkbox radio, it enhances standard checkbox and radio input element to themeable buttons with appropriate hover and active styles. Control group, it groups multiple buttons and other widgets into a one visual set. Date picker, used to select a date from a pop-up or inline calendar. Let's see some of the more widgets. Dialog that opens a content in an interactive overlay. Menu, themeable menu with mouse and keyboard interaction for navigation. Progress bar, display status of a determinate or indeterminate process. Select menu duplicates and extends the functionality of a native HTML select element to overcome the limitations of native control. Slider, drag a handle to select a numeric value. Spinner, enhance a text input for entering numeric values with up, down buttons and arrow key handling. Tabs, a single content area with multiple panels, each associated with a header in a list. Tooltip, that customizable and themeable tooltip replacing native tooltip. Now let's see some of the examples for jQuery UI widget. For accordion, it displays customizable content panel for presenting information in a limited amount of a space. So syntax for accordion is $#div.accordion. See this slide for an example. Move to another widget example, that is autocomplete. It is used for enable users to quickly find and select from a pre-populated list for values as they type, leveraging a searching and filtering. Syntax for autocomplete is $divId.autocomplete and your source. You can see here for an example. Next, move to date picker widget. Date picker, it is used to select a date from a pop-up or inline calendar. For example, syntax for date picker is $datepicker.datepicker. Next, move to jQuery UI effects. There are some of the jQuery UI effects. For example, add class, that add class or classes to elements while animating all style changes. Color animation animates the properties of element between colors. Easing, apply an easing equation to an animation. Effect, that apply an animation effect to an element. Hide elements using custom effect. Remove class, remove the classes from elements while eliminating all the style changes. Show, displays the elements using custom effect. Switch class, add and remove classes to elements while animating all style changes. Toggle, display or hide element using custom effect. Toggle class, that are toggle classes on elements while animating all style changes. Let's see some of the jQuery UI effect example. To add class, there is an example for this. I am giving a simple example for you. which I already created for you. This is an HTML document. You can see in the head section I have linked CSS of jQuery UI CSS, as you can see here. Now you can again see here I have added a two script source, that is CDN script jQuery library to initialize jQuery. This is very mandatory. You can see this is very important. If you don't describe this, document will not understand jQuery. Now let's move to body part. Here you can see I added a 3 paragraph tags. Actually, there are 4 paragraph tags, one with ID and other 3 are just a paragraph tag. Here you can see I have added a text, if you click me, I will disappear. Second is click me away and click me too. Now what I have written in my jQuery. You can here see on click of a paragraph tag, that is any of the paragraph tag in the HTML document, that means these 4 paragraph tags. The paragraph tag will be hide because I write $this dot hide. So on click of any of the paragraph tag in HTML document, it will gonna be hide. Now second one, you can see here I have just written a name and I have given an input type equal to text, that is text box. It has a name attribute full name and ID attribute name. Beside that, I have just added a span element. What I want is whatever I write on a name text box, that will be displayed in a span text. So what I have done is $name, that is a text box having a ID name on blur event, that is on blur. What I want is my message that you have entered text. Whatever text I have written in this text box, it will be stored in this value. Now this variable contains a whole message, that is you have entered plus the text you have entered. What I want is I just want to display it as a text on my span in this variable message. Now again, you can see here there is a 2 buttons, that is hide and show. What I have done is on click of button hide, I have just hided a div having a ID div1. You can see here. Now what I have done is on click of a show button, I just showed the same div which I have hide. Now I have just talked about autocomplete and another jQuery tags. So let me show you jQuery autocomplete. Here you can see there is a label having a tag and input ID with tags. What I want is on this tag I want autocomplete. So what I have done in jQuery is in variable I stored an array having ASP, C, C++, Java, JavaScript and PHP. On writing anything inside this ID tag, it will just take from the source, it will just take available tags in their source. This is a autocomplete is a jQuery function. So if I write a C, then in this source any of the text have a C will be displayed. Let me show you. I am running this application so you can have a proper view. I am clicking this paragraph tag. You can see it hide. Again this is a paragraph, it also hide. Again this. Now I am writing my name, that is Khushbu. This is blur event. You have see here the span tag you have entered Khushbu. Now I want to hide this tag, this div tag. So what will I do? I am clicking on hide button. It is hide. Now I want this again to show. I am clicking on show. You can see here hide and show, hide and show. Now I am writing Java. You can see here it show me a Java and JavaScript, and beside that it written two results are available. Use up and down arrow keys to navigate. I am doing the same thing. I am writing C. So C is containing in C, C++, and JavaScript. So three results are available. You can see here. Now I am writing ASP. So only one result is available. Use up and down arrow keys to navigate. So this is just a basic example of a jQuery. Now suppose I want to add a class for a span tag on blur event. So what will I do is, now suppose I want to add a class on blur event to a span tag. So what will I do? I am just copying the ID of a span tag dot add class. Suppose that the class name is test span. Giving a little CSS to this, so you a style tag. Inside head I am writing a style tag, as you can see here. Besides that I am just giving color red. Now let me run this application again. I am writing Khushbu. You can see here the span tag have appended with class which I already given, having a CSS this. This is an example of using a add class. Similarly, you can remove class. For references, you can use w3schools.com, jQuery and tutorial points as well. Okay, hopefully you have enjoyed this session. Thank you for watching.